Well, I didn't know if you wanted to make
What-
yourself.
is it
All
on the
you're gonna do
agenda?
is make yourself known. You're not gonna speak to it.
Oh, okay, that's perfect.
But
I make myself known.
You gotta stand up and then you gotta tell them your name and your
Yeah,
address.
do I?
if you wanna talk about a specific agenda item,
I don't.
stand up, give your name, address, and less than 2 minutes of what you'd like to tell us. Is there anything you want? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. You wanna take care of that agenda item right now?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda item to, under item 4, other business, to add C, and that would be to take into consideration the link. If it is D, okay. Okay.
yeah,
Under other business, the length of a taxable GO bond, a motion for 7.5 years and 11 months. 7 years, 11 months, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda. We have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to amend the agenda.
I gotta start, sorry.
Erase that, would you please? Start that over. Adding D under other business for the length of the 2020 taxable GO bond. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of minutes. We have the January 6, 2020 reorganizational meeting minutes and the January 6, 2020 additional appropriation meeting minutes. Looking for a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Reports, administrator reports. Mrs. Circle, your name comes up first on my list tonight.
Okay. Okay, sorry once again. Okay, I feel lost without a podium, but I will do it. Okay. Hello everyone. Nice warm night outside, right? So we've had quite a few things going on. I did not do one of my little board printouts. Leslie's had a family emergency, and I think she would really not like if I touched the color printer. So I did not go in there to print. So I'm just going to do this off here. We just had a blood drive and raised 32 units of blood last week. So once again, wonderful, and it was kind of a culmination of several different organizations that pulled together. Ms. Carpenter, though, was the steerhead on that one. And we even opened it up to the community, so it was a wonderful event. Our quiz bowl, which is led by Ms. Doyle, is doing quite well. They came in second place for varsity and first place for JV. So we have come a long way on that, because we just started it not too long ago. Homecoming is Saturday. Would you like to talk about anything with the homecoming festivities going on this week?
Yeah, this week we are starting our Adjusted Day, so we do that Monday through Friday, and every year on Friday is our school spirit. And this year we did a few different things, like dressing up as, today was your favorite hat or silly glasses, and then coming out tomorrow, like this girl versus E-boy, it's like something like that. But just some fun things to get everyone involved in. The middle school this year as well, they're doing their own little things, so that's fun. So everybody has something different.
And we have a pep session on Friday that involves with the middle school and the high school. You want to talk about all the exciting things that we've got going, because it's kind of a major Saturday game.
I will, yes.
Okay. What's going
So,
on?
homecoming Saturday, it's the first time since I've been here, we've had hard court homecoming on a Saturday, which is a little bit different. They're usually on Friday nights. We did that with the intentions of adding to that some alumni stuff. We got, Angel can tell you this, we've got some alumni dance people coming in to hang out with us and perform, and then we've got some former alumni that are gonna be inducted into the Hall of Fame at the same time that night. So it'll be a big night, plus the homecoming festivities. We got a full schedule, that's for sure. Plus we play basketball, so.
Yeah, and there's basketball.
Who we playing?
Winamac.
When I sent out my parent letter, I kind of joked and said there's more than 4 seasons. We have 5 at the high school level, so be warned, we're entering into testing season. So just to kind of give you, and I'm probably missing something, so just, bear with me. But we have WIDA testing coming up at the end of, well, elementary is already in the midst of it. I have the retesters for iStep once again that just finished testing in November. We have the regular sophomore iStep, which is the last year for the sophomores taking this test, and we do not know what the new assessment is. We then roll into the iRead, the iAm, the iLearn comes up after that, the iLearn Biology comes up after that, and then May we finish with AP testing. So we are rolling with testing, so we are very excited. And I am extremely excited. I have Joe Perry here. He is going to talk a little bit about what's very exciting with bracketology moving forward. They're actually going into the media realm even more. And Joe, I almost was going to read your resume, but can you talk about all the stuff that you've done through bracketology too, just to kind of highlight?
All right. So, first of all, my name's Joe Perry. They weren't listening 2 seconds ago. I'm the senior most student member of bracketology. So, the past few years we've kind of become a little more prominent, and our presence has really grown. So, like, it's pretty well known a few years back when Delphi Bracketology became the #1 bracketology group in the nation in their first year. And since then, in 2018, we started going to Purdue football games and basketball games as media members. So we were able to sit up. First of all, we get free tickets, right? We also get free food. We get to sit up in the press row, and we get to watch the game. We get to interview the players. We get to go on the field. That get kind of cold sometimes. It's really cool when there's overtime games. You get to be down the field for that. Basketball-wise, which is what we're into, we went to the Crossroads Classic the past 2 years, which is where Purdue, Indiana, Notre Dame, and Butler all play each other for dibs and rights on Indiana. Last year we also went to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, where Purdue played and almost beat the eventual national champions. Our website content has grown in the past few years. We have grown from kind of a small website where we post once every few weeks or so, whereas now we're posting a few times a week. We had a few different student writers this year. Evan Fritz, Colt Spangler, and we were, Elijah Hudson also, main student writers. We also had a few teachers chip in. And by chip in, I mean do most of the work. But, let's see. And then in the last year, we were contacted by Indiana Sports Center. That's a sports network that based out of Mulberry, Indiana at the Coca-Cola bottling plant. And they do a bunch of different internet television shows and series that really just focus on sports, and particularly in Indiana. And so now we have kind of a cool opportunity because ISC has reached out to us again, and they're wanting to do a television series by Delphi Bracketology. So over the next few months, there's going to be about 9 episodes produced by Delphi Bracketology. I mean, they're not having anybody on camera. It's just going to be us. So every Wednesday for the next 9 weeks or so, up until the March Madness tournament starts, we are going to be sending 3 or 4 people each week at the end of third hour to travel to Mulberry, get in there, record for half hour, 35 minutes. And by that, we're going to have a script that we're going to make a few days beforehand. And we're going to talk about teams that should be in the tournament, teams that could not be in the tournament, We're going to be talking about Indiana teams, so like Purdue and Indiana. They're both teams that are on the bubble, teams that have a chance of getting in, teams that could not get in. So I mean by that, we're also going to be talking about just recent games, just fun stuff like that. It's going to take about 30 minutes. And then we're going to come back, and we'll be back at the school during lunch or in the 5th hour. And if we go over, we'll have OT to fall back on. So we won't miss any of 6th or 7th. We'll just be on for those 2 periods during 4th and 5th hour. Let's see, what else do I
Are you
have?
disappointed about that, Joe, or?
I have calculus and chem, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Do you know when they're gonna show those, when the shows are gonna show?
I think they're going to be produced a day or 2 afterwards, and those can be found on iscsportsnetwork.com if you guys are interested in that. Let's see. Oh, we also get excused absences, so that's cool. Yeah. Pretty sure I'm missing something, but I think that just about wraps it up. Any questions? No? Alright.
Thanks, Joe.
Nice job,
Joe, I was disappointed during bargaining with the teachers because they wanted bracketology to be, there be a stipend to help pay for it. And I thought they wanted to sponsor a giant betting pool. So it's a pleasure to learn a lot more about it. You do a lot of probability and statistics, obviously.
Well, Mr. Thompsoni, if you guys were arguing for a stipend, I would argue for that. But he puts in hours and hours on that because we have a gigantic spreadsheet with up-to-date information. He updates that nearly once every night or two. And with that spreadsheet, we go through and look at every single team, compare them to the ones above it, below it, try to make decisions on who's going to be in and who's going to be out of the tournament. And so especially once March comes around, because that's when we are having meetings like 2 or 3 times a week, especially like during that week of conference tournaments, which is the week before Selection Sunday. During that week, we meet regularly. We look at the bracket. Our spreadsheet might as well be a separate tab on our computer. I mean, we're always looking at that, always comparing how teams have done throughout the year. Wings and pizza, hunker down, look at it. So.
Thank you.
Any questions for the high school? Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna head out.
Mr. Scheidler.
Good luck. Thanks, man.
Follow that up.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Good evening, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
You guys have to share. Couple of pages about, it's kind of interesting because it could have been so much more, but I want to talk about a couple of things that have been ongoing and things that we've done recently here at the elementary. Epics, which is a program out at Purdue. We've actually had a partnership with them probably for the last 1.5 years. Addie Marvin has worked really closely. She and I have actually sat in on a couple of conference calls with them. We brought in Purdue students as they design things. You can see the delivery there of as she called it, a working and durable weather station for our students. So basically they identify a problem and they try to work with the teacher and the students to design a fix for that. There's actually a couple of other things that they're working on. You might be able to read a little bit there. The bottom you can see our student council has always worked hard. Being a leader in Muse School, we don't want it to be just about us. We want to give to our community. So the student council had a great goal of raising money for the local Carroll County Sheriff's Department, their K-9 Grim. So you can see some of the statistics there. I think over $116 or almost $115 raised. First batch when we sold candy canes, they facilitated it all, and then we turn around and doing something similar for Valentine's Day. I think there's probably, we talk about words that define us. A week or 2 ago, the word was integrity. They're doing the right thing when, you know, no one's around. I was so pleased when well, at first it's nerve-wracking when any class goes on a field trip. Not that I have a reason to be, but when they came back from Indianapolis, our fourth graders, for their, we'll call it their annual trip to the state capitol and so forth, I was so pleased. First of all, I heard good things from those that were there. But I got something in the mail that you don't get these very often. The tour guide there at the Capitol took the time to write me a handwritten note, tell me how wonderful the students were. There is nothing better than that. So I was so proud of them. So I talked a little bit about that. And, you know, Christmas came, and again, several grades stepped up. I think there's probably more than that's here, but different grades did different things, supported veterans in need, adopted some veterans, one grade, other grade raised, or the kids, instead of gifts for each other, they brought in things for a local pet shelter, and you see another grade collected for one of our nursing homes nearby. Those are the things that help to well-round everything, or make well-rounded individuals. I'm sitting there and I'm hearing Anne Marie talk about the season of testing. You know, there's also the upcoming COGAT testing, which is to see who qualifies for the high ability program. And so, I mean, there's just so, again, another mandate that we'll have to squeeze in probably sometime in March. Yeah, we want to be any other place. So, you guys know how to read, so there's some data points. But anybody have a question? Yeah, do you want that? I mean, I don't want you to feel left out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scheidler.
Thank you.
Mrs. Gill.
Okay, so at Camden, we met with the state recently for our preschool program, and we have successfully completed level 1. We are now working diligently to complete level 3, paths to quality. We would be the only preschool in the county to have that completed. So our teachers are working diligently to get that done. It's a huge accomplishment and undertaking. Secondly, we've had some building updates and upgrades. We've shared those with you as we've gone along, but a huge thank you to Chuck Foreman and Greg Morrow for making sure that our things are up and running and looking nice. In kindergarten, we just celebrated our 100th day celebration. It's big for the kids. The teachers collaborate and move the kids around the building. So they're going on to all the different classrooms and doing activities together. For our K-12 curriculum update, you may be hearing that the K-12 interventionists are going to start working together to make sure that we are aligned for our services for students in Tier 2, which means students that need that extra support. So we're going to be working together, all the buildings, to try and get that done. And then I invite you for February 5th, we are having our PD all together, which will be called the Oracle Oscars. And there will be a red carpet and some photography going on, right, Mr. Scheidler?
Probably.
So, we would love for you to come see that. But joking aside, it's a great time for all of our teachers in the district to get together, to mingle, collaborate, and share ideas. A big one that's going to be rolling out is a question and answering session with Google and Pear Deck, and then all the services that our print shop can offer the teachers. So, questions?
Yeah, can you elaborate just a little bit on the pre-K program that night that you and I think Ms. Shelley and Mr. Scheidler?
Sure.
that?
We opened up the night for the parents to come in because we have the opportunity to receive some funds for parents that qualify. We found out that night about 65% of our families are free and reduced or free. So that kind of puts us, I was talking to Mr. Rock about it, in the middle. We have families that either they're not working or they're working, and then so right in the middle line, it's we're not qualifying for the $85 that we could get from the state. So we're looking forward to our next roundup. We will have hopefully 3 classes offered. We already have people signing up and calling in and asking to be part of our program.
So that potential money would be where, if we're looking at pre-K to start to charge,
Yes.
that they can help themselves out up to a certain amount of dollars, what that is, that funding school.
Yes, that would help us. Great.
Thank you. Routine matters. Oh, no, superintendent's report, Mr. Hall.
Well, it's gonna be short tonight since I had my slide presentation. I would say that, there is some great news, and that is now it may have changed, I didn't ask Mr. Gear tonight, but we're up 15 students in enrollment, which is always a good thing when that pays $6,000 a student, so that's a very good trend to be in. That's all I have.
Thank you. Routine matters. We have consent items, 1, 2, 3, 4. Under the number 4 ECAs, we need to pull number 7. So when we deal with that, we need to take care of that.
Nicole Nelson.
Yes.
Separate or totally not?
Totally out.
Okay.
That's Kevin's fault, that's not Doug's fault, that's Kevin's fault.
Okay, Mr. Ron?
The claims and payroll are extremely high because of all the debt payments we made. Even though the bonds say they're due in January, you have to pay them in December based on the state funding. So we spent almost $3.8 million then in claims and payroll, and like I say, a good part of it was paying our bond payments.
We might, yeah, we can go right through all of them if you want.
We have several resignations. I don't know if administrators will say anything about any of the resignations, but it's always tough to lose experienced people that have done a great job for many years, and there are several of them there. And we do have some employment recommendations. One of those would be that Ms. Cotton is going to move from a full-day contract to a 4/7 contract for the remainder of this school year, and also that we were very fortunate to hire a young person to come in and take over from Mr. German for his day, but she also is going to act as a ESL paraprofessional, which is badly needed, and we're going to have to hire those positions as time goes on, so we hope we make an inroad with her. You see the ECAs there, and I don't think there's anything unusual about the requests on the fundraiser or facility usage.
Yeah, I will make note that the resignation retirements, Polly Andrews, Mike Harmon, Kim McCoy, Diana Jackson, Robin Coiner, and Linda Tyner. And some of those people have had several years of with Delphi. Okay, we're looking for a motion to approve the routine matters.
I move we approve routine matters as presented. Second.
Okay, we have a motion second on the floor to approve the routine matters as presented. Any discussion?
I have a question, Mr. Ron. I'm a Taylor manager. She's a sub for Randy German at the daily rate of $160.
Right.
And then ESL, for the remainder of the school year at $13.50. Is that, after school hours, what she does for ESL, or?
No, she's going to actually start this week after pending board approval to start working with, we've got, right now, no one 6 through 12 working with our ESL students. So then she's gonna be Mr. German, and then once that ends, we're gonna then have her transition into being EL after spring break.
But until then, we're only paying her the $160 a month.
Correct, yeah.
Even though she'll be doing kind of a double duty.
I'm trying to make it so that she's really not doing too much of a double duty. We have several students, I wanna say, it's about 30 students that we need to service, 6 through 12, and we haven't at this point. But we've got one little cute 7th grader that just joined, and she speaks 0 English right now. So I want her during one of the periods that she has off, I'm gonna have Mr. Strasser help out. Start working with her, so we can get her caught up like immediately, as far as we can.
So once Mr. German returns, then
Then she'll work with the other, yeah.
I've known Taylor Nacky, her entire life, we're lucky to get it, you'll find him.
What is the daily rate for a regular substitute?
Well, she's a professional, so typically, I think it's a convoluted system where you pay them as a sub for 15 days, then you pay them as a full professional after 15 consecutive days. And instead, I negotiate with them to pay them a standard rate that's less than the total of those two things would be, so that that person is getting paid up front as a teacher, which is what they're doing. And that's why it's an odd number.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and second on the floor to approve the routine matters. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. New business. We'll break these out and do each one individually, I believe. 3A, Child Nutrition Program Wellness Policy. Mr. Ronk, you want to say anything about that?
That's something you're to adopt annually, and they're, on that page, the person's executive contact for the wellness committee should be Sandra Rowe. So I don't know if yours got corrected or not, but it needs to be. She is now acting nutrition director. But again, you've adopted this policy, I believe since 2006, and so the state requires that you re-adopt it.
Need a motion, please?
Make a motion to adopt the Child Nutrition Program Wellness Policy.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor to adopt the Child Nutrition Program Wellness Policy. Floor is open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. B, resolution on countywide goals.
I hope you've had a chance to take a look at those. I was invited to attend some meetings. You can see that representative from Burlington, Camden, Yeoman, and City of Delphi, Carroll Consolidated, DCSC, and the government of Carroll County have been invited to participate in this. It's just an opportunity to bring some unity to the county agencies and just perhaps get some things done that have not been done. We have a fearless leader in Shane, and we appreciate him doing that. Would you like to comment on any of this and the work of it?
If I may, is that all right, Mr. President? This is really our first stab at trying to bring the units of Carroll County together so that we're meeting regularly between the towns, the schools, the city, and county government. And so this first rendition that we have is just committing the board to doing things that you're likely already doing. You're behaving civilly and having nice decorum at meetings. You're engaging with other community leaders. You can look through the 9 things that you're committing to here, but hopefully as the years go on, we can continue to build on this resolution and have a little more firm goals towards what we all want to work towards in the future. I would appreciate your support of this resolution. I know that town of Burlington, the city of Delphi have signed on. I've yet to hear back from the other units, but I'm hoping we can get all 9, I believe, units to sign on to this resolution this year.
Probably the one item that's in there is, and then we discussed this about trying to encourage voting, but we know how pathetic sometimes those percentages are, and so we thought perhaps as a school corporation especially, we could encourage adults to vote and make sure that all of our students who are old enough get registered to vote. So I would recommend that we approve this resolution.
Motion?
Mr. President, I move to make a resolution committing to the countywide goals in 2020 as presented to us here.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on that resolution. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. C, drug testing updates for transportation handbooks and the Neola policy.
This came to us very late. Unfortunately, they didn't get it to us in time for our driver handbook, but we, part of the recommendation would be that if this passes, that we should include it both in our Neola policy and also in our driver handbook. But it used to be that 25% of your drivers had to be tested. This has raised that bar to 50%. And so there's a lot of language in there, but we don't have a lot of choice. So the note we got from the Indiana School Boards Association was that this is a required policy that all school boards must adopt. So that is where we stand.
Okay, hearing that, sounds like we need a motion and a
Well-
second on that.
Mr. President, I move we adopt the drug testing policy as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Discussion on that?
Does it take effect immediately, or is it next school year?
As of January 1 on the drug policy and January 6th on the clearinghouse. This is something I deal with at work on a regular basis, so we have to have it. I do have one recommendation on the policy, and I feel that the 6-hour alcohol, you're not supposed to have alcohol within 6 hours of driving. I think it should be 8. So that's the only other thing I have.
Just make are you making that motion then, Mr. Strasser?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, all right, to amend
To amend the
to 8 hours.
policy to
Yep.
from 6 hours to 8 hours.
Yeah. You said you work in that field or regularly work in
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that's the 6 hours is,
That's on page 1.
yeah, that's the federal limit, but, I think we should be above the federal limit for that. I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
Who does our drug testing on that for the school?
I couldn't give you the exact name, so I was hoping Ross would be here.
And then, do you have any idea, do they do a weekly random test draw?
It's a random test.
I know it's random, but is it weekly, monthly, or how often?
It's probably either monthly or quarterly,
Okay,
and you have to, when it's saying 50%, it's 50% of your average for the year. So however many truck drivers, how many bus drivers you have on average, then you take 50% of that. And as small as we are, we can even do it annually if we wanted to. And you know, does that include our sub-drivers go into that count, or is it just the full time? It would be, well, the sub-drivers, when they're driving, would be, should be part of that, yeah. Okay. So, yeah. That one mark, these one.
Yeah. So was there a second?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Any other discussion?
You had also asked about not hiring people that didn't pass the test. I think that probably ought to be in
Okay.
board policy. Wouldn't that make?
Okay.
Yeah, and I tried to read through those today, and I don't think there's any language in there
I didn't
that
see
says
any
that.
language prohibiting that. The clearinghouse, basically what the clearinghouse is that if somebody is positive for drugs or alcohol, testing for the DOT, it goes into this clearinghouse, and they're there for up to 5 years. So if there is a violation, I guess my motion is that if we find a violation from the clearinghouse, that we do not hire that person.
But would that be in this policy?
Alright, so you're,
My suggestion was that we go back to board policy and,
Administrative.
which has a lot of the same language and put in there the non-hire
Okay.
in the board policy.
Right, okay.
Anything else?
Is this a big change from what we've been doing previously?
Actually, we were testing 25% for only 2 or 3 years. It was 50% forever.
And Mr. Strebeck is in charge of making sure that it's provided and stuff.
Anything else? Okay, we have an amended motion and a second on the floor for the drug testing updates for the transportation handbook and the old policy. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 3D, the Weir's Bus Maintenance Agreement. Mr. Romer.
Do you remember, Mr. Otis, when we met with, was it September?
it was in the fall.
Yeah.
In Plymouth, yeah.
I think most of you know, but just as a review, we had some very large charges that came from Weir's for bus maintenance. There was also an issue of receiving one set of bills and then receiving additional bills, and so we tried to resolve a great deal of that. As a result, we have not paid Weir's since September of 2019, and we agreed that there would be no payments until all of these issues on billing and value and those kind of things were resolved. So this is my attempt with Mr. Weir's to try to resolve this issue, and what we're saying is that we're gonna set up a 1-year fleet partnership agreement, and in order to be renewed, both parties should have to agree. 60 days notice, people can withdraw. If we sign on with Weir's again in 2021, they're gonna issue us a $10,000 credit. They're gonna keep the price the same as it is toward the end of this month, and we are gonna start making our payments as we accrue them in January of this year, and that we are gonna pay back a balance of $200,000 that we owe them. So they're going to do this work, and it's going to include monthly fixed fees, hourly charges, parts charges, and shop supplies. It does not include tires, towing, engine failure, paint, corrosion, or collision charges. So I would like to get this in place so that we can move forward and have a set monthly fee that we're gonna be paying.
We have a motion on the Weir's agreement?
Make a motion that we accept Mr. Roth's recommendation on a 1-year agreement with Weir's.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
So, if I understand this right, we got a cap, maximum amount
Exactly.
of 240.
Except for like something totally unexpected.
Right, engines, things like that, but the PM, red maintenance, stuff like that. We'll have a credit.
If we renew for 2021,
Okay.
we'll get a $10,000 credit.
Okay, no credit for this coming year, or this year that we're currently going into.
No, there is a $30,000
So we
credit.
get 30,000 now, and then 10 later.
Right.
Okay, all right. And that credit goes against,
The balance that we owe.
the balance we have, okay, all right, that's why I wanted to make sure. Check. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, what about, putting in some additional language, as far as to detail what each side is supposed to do, and especially for liability reasons?
We could certainly add that, I don't know if we could act on it tonight, but,
Sure.
You know, one way, I know Mr. Ron's been talking with Mr. Weirs quite a bit. I could certainly work on something, bring it back to you in February. I mean, if you wanna make a gesture of good faith to make a monthly payment, that's certainly one way of handling it, that's up to the board, so. Happy to add some language,
Sure.
Mr. Strasser, to make you feel more comfortable.
Is there an amount you feel comfortable making a 1 month payment here?
I would use this as a model and then also whatever we owe for January. And so it would equal probably close to $50,000. This is a contract for those of you in the audience that we, from September of 18 through all of 19, we paid $600,000 on this contract. So it has been a very expensive proposition.
Mr. President, I would move to table the current motion to enhance the language to best benefit the corporation at this point. And then after that, Mr. President, I will make another motion.
I second your motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table this agreement. Any discussion on that table?
Are we gonna put a time on this, or are we gonna wait another month before we pay him?
No, I'll make a motion instead of making
Okay.
a separate motion. Once you table this, I'll make a motion to table it.
Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to table this particular agreement. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to pay the first installment that it looks like we're gonna be entering into for whatever amount that was, Mr. Ron.
$33,180.
Thank you for that amount. As a sign of good faith to them. And that's what we
Plus our January bill.
Yes.
And again, that $33,180 is money that
We
Delphi
owe
already
anyway.
owes, right?
We owe anyway.
Yep.
It's part of what we owe.
Yep.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to pay Weirs the $33,180 plus whatever the January installment is. Any discussion on that motion?
I would guess it'll probably be around 17 or 18.
And then next month we'll have
Yep.
some additions to this
Yep.
contract possibly, okay. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Other business. You want to break these down? Maybe turn this over a little more.
I think probably.
Okay. A, the classroom grants from the Delphi Educational Foundation.
Well, I just, I've had some conversations with Joy Atkinson, and I just think it's a real bonus to have an organization that's working for teachers and students, and these are grants that go directly to teachers as they submit them for projects, so we've had one for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade intervention for grades 1 through 5 for 4th grade, for kindergarten, for 3rd grade, and for high school English. So there's a nice variety there, and it's over $4,000, and I think it makes a big difference over over years to have an organization working for you like that. So that's more than, just an informational item than anything else.
Any comments on that before we move on?